How'd you do that to me?
I didn't do that, Rick. Where are you, dude?
That's a good question. I don't know how my screen.
Check down below. Did you tap the hide? There's a camera button.
Nope. Well, talk about technology. It worked all the way up until now.
Well, we can hear you, so
Okay, great. Well, it's probably a better looking screen. Hi, everyone. I'm Rick Brusuelas. You can't see me. I'm hiding behind my Moss avatar. And with Joe Carlton. Joe Carlton's back this week from a vacation. So great to have you back. And Joe, how was the vacation?
was excellent. We did Hershey Park, spent 3 days out there. The water park was awesome. We didn't get to hit all the roller coasters. My kids weren't tall enough, but they were already mentioning going back in a couple of years when they are. So it was definitely a fun time overall. Always good to get away with family. So
Well,
Rick, you there?
yeah, I am. I'm still just amazed that I lost my camera.
Okay, so no, I was just doing that to see what would happen. I don't know, dude.
Oh, well, we'll just keep going with it. Well, and actually we have not just one Joe tonight, but we have two Joes. So we have Joe squared. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Scott Fish Bowl. All three of us have been in drafts. Joe Carlton, Joe, is still working on his, and Joe Frick, who's our guest tonight, has already finished his. So I want to introduce Joe Frick, who not only has been in the Scott Fish Bowl, but he also ran the Scott Fish Bowl 103 Twitter group. So, he helped a lot of us, and in fact, supplied us with even some projections that he shared out of his own analysis. So, Joe, really do appreciate you being here. How are things going with you tonight?
Hey man, things are going good. Good to have y'all here. Glad to be the second best Joe in the room tonight. Looking forward to that. But yeah, the 103 group chat was a lot of fun. I am definitely the type that's overactive in group chats because I don't have much of a life. So for me, it was like, hey, let's get this thing started, find some people. And yeah, we had like 30, 40 people in there talking strategy. And it was a lot of fun. So excited to see the rest of the drafts come together. I think we're starting to get towards the end of that and start gearing up for the season. It's camp time. Football's here and life is good.
Oh, and I'm back. Well, so thanks for being here. Looking forward to talking about Scott Fish Bowl. But before we do that, why don't we get to know a little bit more about you? So, Joe, you want to take over?
Sure. So, Joe, one of my favorite things about this show is getting to meet new analysts and learning a little bit about them personally, their fantasy background, how long they've been playing, just to get a feel before we, chop it up on the second half of the show.
Oh, yeah.
So why don't you tell us where you're from, if you have any hobbies outside of fantasy football, if you want to talk about family, you can, whatever you want to share with us.
Yeah, for sure. So I think my background might give it away a little bit for those that are watching the show. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I currently reside 30 minutes south of Cleveland right now. So I'm in Streetsboro, Ohio, pretty close to Canton. So if you're going to be around for the Fantasy Football Expo, definitely going to be there. I moved here last year. So still trying to figure out where you can say, here we go, Steelers, in a safe space without having people look at you funny. My wife is a Browns fan. Going to figure out what my son, he's 6 months old tomorrow, what team he's going to root for. So that's like the big conundrum of the house. Probably end up being something weird like a Ravens fan or something like that. But as long as it's not the Bengals, that's good with me. But yeah, outside of fantasy football, I play ice hockey. So I play in a league out here with some friends. I try my hand at golfing, which usually doesn't go well, but you keep the vibes good in the cart. Try not to lose all the balls you came with, and the beer always tastes good. So no complaints there. But yeah, sports pretty much eat, sleep, all that good stuff for me. So if there's a winner and a loser, I'll probably watch it, probably try to play it, and just hope I don't end up in the hospital. So
nice. So I play street hockey, not
nice.
ice
Yeah.
Hockey,
okay. Yeah, I grew up playing street hockey in Pittsburgh. I didn't start playing on ice until I graduated college. So it's like the hockey part comes very naturally, but the skating is always super suspect. So it's like stopping is questionable, like any sort of like quick movements or turns, but you put me in front of the net, I can deflect the heck out of a puck. So it's a good time for sure.
Awesome. So when did you start playing fantasy football?
Oh man, so I got into fantasy football. My first year was in 2005. So I went to a charter high school in downtown Pittsburgh. They had a fantasy football club that was run by our technology teacher. No one really was into it except for like a handful of us. So the league that we played in at the time, it was kind of like I forget what they call it, but it's basically like a weekly league where you can have everybody pick whoever they want, but you can't repeat the players, sort of a situation. So it was a lot more fun in the playoffs because the pool of players was so much smaller, but started there, kind of stuck with it. I've been doing like content for fantasy probably for about 4 years now, but always been a big lover of the game. It's a lot of fun. And I don't know why other fantasy sports like haven't done it for me. I've tried fantasy hockey, it was just like a lot. I'm in a fantasy baseball league this year. Oh man, it's a lot. And I don't understand. It's just like, this guy's supposed to be good at baseball. What's happening? Why do I suck? Like, it's too much. So like the once a week, give me my guys. I need to know about 8 players and I'm set. Like it's perfect. Fantasy football is elite.
Yeah, I agree. Baseball, you like guys in a slump, you put him on the bench and then he goes 3 for 3 with 2.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Every time.
It's like, and you gave him like a long leash too. Like,
right.
It wasn't like you pulled him right away. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a marathon of a contest, and it is a lot. I agree.
Absolutely.
So Joe, what are your favorite leagues to play in? What types of leagues do you play in?
So I think I am pretty contrarian about my beliefs about leagues. I'm not a best ball guy. I hate best ball. I don't really like dynasty leagues, which is like a terrible thing to say to people in fantasy. It's like, to me, like, I love the grind of the waiver wire. I love drafting a team. I love making 100 moves throughout the year because I'm done with this guy. We're breaking up. We're back together. We're breaking up. I'm trading this guy. We're doing that. So for me, I'm all about redraft. I'll do those other things, but redraft is where I love. We talked a little bit about it before the show. I really enjoy auction drafting. And what's up, Bill? But for me, it's like with redraft, you have a reasonable expectation of what your outcome is going to be dependent on what draft slot that you're in. And it's like, oh, like if you look at the stats when it's like, oh, like 80% of people had this player and won last year. And it's like, realistically, you were probably in a similar range of picks. Auction, it's like, hey, I'm going to go get my guys. We're going to make Joe mad and get into a bidding war. And we're going to upsell him on somebody he doesn't actually want. And it's just like the draft is really long and gritty, but it's just so much more fun that way, in my opinion.
And I always get, I always like to ask this question because I'm always in trouble for playing in too many leagues. So
yeah,
I want to ask, how many managed leagues are you currently? You say you don't play best ball, you don't like it. So how many managed leagues are you in?
So I have a couple of best ball leagues that I'm in. Most of them like charity based, but like true managed leagues. Let's see. I am in 4 dynasty leagues, one of which is an IDP dynasty.
Nice.
And then I have, excluding the fishbowl, which I mean, I guess that counts, but I don't count it because it's just more of like I know that like these other leagues are like for life, and it's like that one. It's like, oh, like I might not be in fishbowl next year or whatever. But this year I'm probably looking at 12. I think that that's like way more than you need. But for me, it's very much like a social thing. So for me, like I've worked at 3 different companies in my career. Every one of those has a league that still runs even with the people that don't work there anymore. So it's like, it's a way to keep in touch with people. I said that I moved to Cleveland last year. So I have a group of friends from when I lived in Dallas who still have a league that's going that I'm in. So it was like my college friends have a league. So it's a very fun way for me to keep tabs on people and an excuse to like talk trash on my friends. So that's kind of how that ends up shaking out. But yeah, my wife loves football, could not care less about fantasy at all. Tyler Bradley, who runs Fantasy Sports Advice Network, he's like, is your wife like excited that you do like more fantasy content now? And I was like, honestly, I don't think that she cares. Like, she likes that I'm in the house and I'm here, but I don't think it makes a difference to her if there's 12 people that watch our show versus the 11 that would have watched it before that I was doing this kind of thing. But you get her in a survivor pool or an eliminator league, all for it. She's a beast. So it's definitely a fun time.
Very cool.
Awesome. So can you tell us about your involvement with the Fantasy Sports Advice Network?
Yeah, for sure. So I am the director for social media and community. So basically that means that I tweet memes and just try to make people feel good about being in the fantasy space. I think it's a really interesting dynamic, especially since COVID, where you have so many people that want to do content creation. And I think it's an awesome thing. I think a lot of times there can be this kind of like intimidation factor or like this elitism that happens like when you're trying to like break into the industry, where it's like, oh, well, I don't have enough people watching my show, or hey, like I don't have enough of a following to do this, that, and the other. And for me, it's like, if you are willing to put the time in, do this, and it's something that's fun and you enjoy it, then like go for it. Like, you're no better off than like Matthew Berry. And it's like, obviously, like, he probably knows some more, has some better resources, this and that. But it's like, at the end of the day, like, hate to say it, but like, we're all mostly guessing, right? And it's like, it's fun. We talk about it, like, probably relative to a person who's not as tuned in, we probably know a little bit more. Of course, Samwise is elite, but that just goes without saying. But it's just something that we do because we enjoy it and we love the game. So it's like thinking about like the expo. Like, last year was the first year that I went. I was very nervous, and I told my wife, I was like, I'm either going to be there for 10 minutes and I'll be home, or you'll see me on Monday. And this was on like a Thursday night. And it was like, you had to drag me out of that place by the end of it. So it's just, I think there's a misconception there about that, but trying to be a driving force and, hey, like, this is a place that's welcome for everybody. That means a lot to me. So it's been fun. I've been there since December, do a little bit of everything, do some video content. I'll write a little bit. I'm on a show. And then I run the Twitter account. So it's just a little bit of everything. So it's a good time.
Nice.
All right. So you also co-hosted at 412 Fantasy Football Show. Is that
yeah. So we're in off-season mode right now. Me and my boy Drew Hannis. Shout out to him, Dr. Drew. He's like our injury update guru. We've been running that show for about 4 years now for a pod called Around the 412. It's all Pittsburgh sports based. So they do shows every day for the Pirates, which is never really fun to talk about. The Steelers, which has kind of been up and down the last couple of years. And then the Penguins, which are also kind of going downhill a little bit. So it's tough times in the 412, but we still talk about it anyway. Shows on Wednesdays. We kind of do the same sort of look and feel that other people do. I think what differentiates our show is just the way that we do it. So 2 segments that we do every week: Fantasy Football Tinder, where we're swiping left and right on our like notable players for the week. So we got our dating profiles, deciding what we're going to do with those. And then every week we make our only fantasy subscriptions for the week. So who are your guys that you're subscribing to looking for a big breakout performance? So get to do a lot of fun stuff there. I have a lot of admiration for y'all being on the mic and having to control all that stuff, because that's what I do when we're running that show. When I do the show with Tyler on Fridays, I'm more just a pretty face that talks sometimes. So it's a lot different when you have to be behind the mic and also do all the other things. So it's a lot of work that goes into it to make people look good. So appreciate y'all.
Awesome. So you already mentioned you've been in the fantasy industry doing content for 4 years.
Yeah.
What was the motivator to like really give you the push to get you involved?
So I think for me, I had done a couple of guest spots on the Around the 412 show. Really enjoyed it. It was one of those things where it was like the first time that you're on a podcast, you're like sweating bullets. You're like, who knows what's going to happen? You're mumbling over your words, but then you get done. You're like, oh, wait, like we just talked about football for an hour. This is great. Like, this is awesome. So then I got asked to come back a couple of more times. The host that was running the show was like, I'm kind of like done with this. I want to focus on other things. Like, do y'all want to take over? And I was like, all right, let's do it. So we've been doing that ever since. And it was funny. The first show that I hosted, so you guys had the intro, which I loved, by the way. I thought that intro was sick. I hit the button for starting the show, but I never had the intro hooked to it. So we started, I'm just like deadpan looking at the screen. And my friend is like, are we live right now? And it was just like, oh crap, hold on. And then we hit play. And so it's just like little stuff like that that's just like funny looking back on. And then like you kind of get the graphics evolving a little bit, doing all that stuff. I get a lot of enjoyment in that. I took like classes for that like graphic sort of stuff in high school. So kind of brushing off those old things. And then this year in particular, I've been trying to do more like short form content. So that's been fun too. So just finding different ways to do things and not just be the same information set that everybody else is. To me, I get a lot of enjoyment out of that. So it's been a good run.
Nice. I love, sorry, Rick, I was going to say, I love how your story of getting in, because that sounds all too familiar for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just wanted to add that. Go ahead, Rick.
Sure. And we're going to talk more about Scott Fishbowl and our teams and approaches we took. But obviously you're involved in the Scott Fishbowl.
Right.
How long have you been going, or how long have you been playing in the Scott Fishbowl?
Yeah.
And, are you also doing like a live, or did you do a live draft?
Yeah, sure. So this is the third year that I've been in Scott Fishbowl. The first year that I did it, I participated in the Dallas live draft. That was a ton of fun. Made the playoffs 2 years ago and then kind of just crumbled there. Joe Flacco, of all people, like carried me really far that year. It was awesome. Nice. Yeah. So last year, I had just moved to Cleveland. So I did the Cleveland live draft at the Barley House. Sam and I had way too good of a time. I actually lost my glasses at the bar. So that was a fun one. I think I was in the semis last year. So I finished, I think, like 180th or something like that. So shout out to my boys, Chase Brown, a couple other guys that really held it down for me. So hoping that, keep the upward trajectory. But I think for me, like the goal always is just to meet people, have a good time, raise money for the charity. And then playoffs to me, I feel like is a successful Scott Fishbowl season. You got 5,000 teams, a lot of people that really know what they're doing. And you got to have a lot of things break your way to kind of be like an elite team in it. So we'll see how it shakes out. I obviously feel good about my team for the most part. Some things I would have did different, but overall it was a really good experience. And everybody that put the Cleveland live draft did a really good job. So it's a ton of fun.
Awesome.
So you've already mentioned you're going to you basically live.
I'm here already. I'm just waiting for everybody else.
Nice. Rick and I will be going for the first time this year. We're excited. Can't wait. It's like almost next week.
Yeah, almost. 2 weeks. It's coming up quick. Yeah.
Can you give us any advice? What rookie mistakes can we make our first time?
I think the biggest thing that I learned last year was to mix in a water every once in a while. It's very easy to get very aggressive in your hydration techniques. So make sure that you're eating good, drinking some water. I don't think that y'all will have this problem because you are established and sophisticated gentlemen. But I think for people that are going for the first time, it can feel like intimidating, like, oh, like here's all these people that I see on X, or here's all these people that are from Fantasy Pros, or here's that guy that's like doing all of this cool stuff. And then it kind of turns into this like internal measuring stick of like, oh, like, am I worthy to talk to these people? And honestly, like, at the end of the day, it's a bunch of the nerdiest people in America talking about things that they nerd out the most. And it's like everybody that I interacted with was super cool, whether it was like, I have 1 million followers or I have like 4. Like it was all like a great time. The networking was awesome. I wish I would have taken more pictures. I'm like notoriously bad at that. And then also just like taking advantage and like knowing what's going on for like the events. There's a lot of stuff that you could sign up for. So they have the poker tournament, they have the golf outing, they have draft night out, they have all of these different things that you can be doing. And then of course you have like the expo with all of the booths and stuff on Sunday. So it really goes by quick. It's a ton of fun. Looking forward to meeting y'all in person, obviously. But I'm very excited that it's in my backyard. It kind of makes it like a cheat code for me to get out here. So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
So will I look odd if I walk around with an autograph book and a pen? And
oh no, definitely not. I mean, last year I walked around with a Joey Chestnut jersey on. So I mean, I think anything's fair game at that point.
Very cool. Now, it probably is not hard to figure out where your team is.
Yeah.
And so you're obviously a Steeler fan. You kind of mentioned it a little bit about it not being that great more recently, but can you share any of your own thoughts on how the Steelers are going to do this year, and what are your expectations?
Yeah. So the Steelers, from like an actual football perspective, have convinced themselves that they're still in a win now mode. So if you look at the moves that they've made, they go out and get Aaron Rodgers. They've traded for Jalen Ramsey. They've signed these different guys. Watt's got the extension now, and they're very much going all in more or less with the core of TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, like all of these elite defensive players that they've been trying to find a suitable offense essentially since Ben Roethlisberger turned into noodle arm. Now, the problem that you have is that even with Aaron Rodgers a couple years removed from the Achilles injury, let's just be honest about like the Steelers' likelihood of advancing beyond a wild card game this year. So when I think about football, all that ultimately matters, what's up, JC, is who has the best quarterback. So whenever I make picks in the playoffs, it's like my default is what team has the better quarterback, and then we can go from there. So for the Steelers to make a run, so they somehow have to beat Lamar, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. You still have people like Justin Herbert. You still have people like CJ Stroud. So it's like at best, I could probably see Aaron Rodgers being the 8th, 9th best quarterback in the AFC. It's going to be extremely difficult unless that defense stands on its head to really make this happen. Now, the reports out of camp, which I don't put a lot of stock into, is that now they are doing a lot of like scheming and different packages to like kind of not just say, hey, Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, you're really good. Just go get the quarterback. Like, let's maybe be more tactical about that. So that'll be exciting to see. And then on the offensive side of the ball, and then really from a fantasy perspective, it's going to be very much what we saw last year. I was surprised that they went out and got Jonnu Smith. We know that Art Smith loves him, but you already had 2 established tight ends. It feels like Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith have a very redundant role. So it's going to be interesting to see how they have that. And then you have like the giant of Darnell Washington, who's effectively another lineman that's going to be in the mix as well. So I think they're going to run the ball a lot. If you aren't excited about Caleb Johnson, you should be. He fits that scheme like a glove. I do think it may take a little bit of time for him to kind of take on the workload that we saw from Najee Harris last year, but Jaylen Warren hasn't seen more than 160 touches in a season. So there's going to be room to grow there. He's a very effective runner. He's also got big game-breaking ability as well. So if you think about somebody like Ken Walker, every year people are like, oh, well, if you take out like that 60-yard run, like he really didn't do that well. But Ken Walker breaks a 60-yard run, what feels almost like every game. So like it's not like an accident. Like Caleb Johnson, if you look at his numbers at Iowa, we saw he looked good in black and gold, but you saw that he had that finishing ability with his runs. I think you have that youth in the offensive line. You hope that they figure it out. So they're going to be good there. Metcalf seems to me like a suitable wide receiver too. I don't think that he can break into the top 12. But we'll see what happens. The fear is that if you look at even the A.J. Brown years, or even when they had Drake London and for Atlanta, like these guys weren't clearing 130, 140 targets. Like I think they're topping out at 116 in an Art Smith offense, which when you have Malik Neighbors getting 170 in a season, it's just going to be tough in a PPR format to break into that upper echelon. So I feel pretty lukewarm about them. I don't really like drafting Steelers because there's nothing worse than like having your team lose, and then that also means that your fantasy team loses. But I'll draft if the value's there.
Yeah, and you mentioned that bringing Jonnu Smith over, which duplicates what Freiermuth did. And
Yeah.
I cried because I was drafting in the Dallas live draft, drafted Muth, and then the very next day the trade happens. So
right, yeah.
But do you think that perhaps that since there isn't really a lot of wide receiver depth after Metcalf, that they're going to be doing a lot of 2 tight end formations?
Yeah, I think they could do a 12 formation, but the problem is that I don't think that Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith are really known for their blocking. Pat Freiermuth improved tremendously last year. Like going into the season last year, and I hate saying it out loud because he's good friends with the pod, but I would call him Pancake Pat because every time that he was in a blocking position, he was just getting annihilated. Yeah. And it was like last year, it was like, all right, like I can't really call you that anymore. Like, good for you. Like I'm impressed. I didn't think you had it in the cards. So it's like if they're running a 2 tight end set, you would think that Washington is the natural slide in. I do wonder if they use Jonnu Smith more as like the Sean Payton sort of joker role in a sense, where they're moving him around. He can kind of be a slot receiver. You can have him in the backfield, sort of a thing. But I think that the diversification of targets is just going to be too much. Now, we also have to keep in mind that Aaron Rodgers hasn't brought any of his friends to Pittsburgh yet. So that like Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, like a couple of those guys got to be making at some point. Lazard, Jordy Nelson might come out of retirement. Like, who knows? But I think that the Steelers' identity is going to be running the ball. Both running backs are going to be puking from the volume that they get, and then they'll sprinkle in the passing as they go. But yeah, it's going to be full steam ahead. About week 5, you're going to get the coach of the year, Tomlin, sign him for life, and then by like week 12, when we're inevitably 9-8, like trajectory again, it's going to be up. Well, just fire Tomlin, sell the team, throw the stadium in the river, and figure something else out. So we'll see what happens. But next year, I think, was the big turning point for the Steelers. They're gearing up for the 2026 draft. I think they're either going to trade up for a quarterback or they're going to make a big move, because everything that they're doing, and there's no real money committed to the position after this year. They kind of just been putting people in for where they can get cheap deals, and they got to figure something out because the clock's ticking.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Scott Fish Bowl in a few, but there was some relatively big news in the that even as early as this morning happened. So I thought we would just tick off a few of the news items. First one I saw was involving the New York Jets quarterback Justin Fields, hurt with a lower leg injury. The good news for both the Jets and for Justin Field owners is that it wasn't an Achilles, it wasn't a high ankle sprain, but a dislocated toe. Now, toe injuries are not still not great, and
right.
At least we're hoping he's going to be back at least by the start of the season. Did you hear anything different?
No, yeah, that's what I heard too. There's nothing worse than like getting the notification on your phone, because the thing that you see is just Justin Fields carded, and then you're like, well, yeah, that's done. It's over. And then it ended up being a dislocated toe, which doesn't sound fun. I can only imagine how bad the person feels that stepped on his foot. Like, you got to be feeling like, we're in shorts right now, boys. Like, we did not need to do this. Like, how did this happen? We just paid this guy. And then he dislocates the toe. So I think that he'll be fine.
And hopefully he's not a second or third string offensive lineman who stepped back on the quarterback's investment. But I cried when I saw that news report coming across, because I had drafted him in a league that actually Joe and I are both in, and I was just like, okay, well, my season's over.
No, I think you're all right.
We're not even done with the draft. I'm already giving up.
My initial reaction was like, Kirk Cousins, like, welcome to New York, buddy. Like, here we go.
Tuesday night, I had Mike Hoff, and we talked about his season-long prop bet, 14.5 touchdowns is plus money. It was one of our favorites, and I was like, I put that on a big parlay, which I went over on that show too, 7-leg parlay season futures. I did it just to talk about something.
Yeah.
Talk on the show, we'll see if it hits. Is 20 to win 3,100, but that was one of the legs, and that was one of his favorite ones, because I had them go over their favorite future prop.
Yeah,
and I was like, when they were talking about which one's going to miss, they were mentioning other ones. I was like, I think Justin Fields' one makes me the most nervous, because he can go down at any time because he's done good.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I saw that this morning, I was like, no way. But
And Bill in the chat brings up Tyrod Taylor, and I know he's well liked within the Jets organization. I also don't. I mean, because I've heard Kirk Cousins and all sorts of memes about Kirk Cousins answering the bat call to the Jets, but doesn't that also require the Jets to, or at least the Falcons, to be willing to trade Cousins? Which again, I'm not entirely sure they're that interested in making that sort of a trade. I would think guys like Tannehill or Wentz might be more likely.
What about Shador? What about Shador? That's an out.
Kenny
for
Pickett's
Shador,
out there looking for some love.
I mean, Travis Hunter got an out of Cleveland. Why shouldn't Shador? It make perfect sense. Go to New York.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So there was other injury news, and it was more of a a spring surgery that Godwin was supposed to have had, and I guess this probably points to the fact that they drafted Emeka
Egbuka.
Thank you. Early, which was kind of, I guess, a surprise that they would draft a wide receiver early, but now I guess perhaps that is the reason. But they also have McMillan too, so they have two good slot receivers, to be able to fill in. So if Godwin does miss time in the season, the Buccaneers still have a good wide receiver to be able to bring in there. But again, probably not good news for anyone that had invested in Godwin in early drafts.
It's good news for all the people that have Ibuka shares already, because he's about to go up a round or two.
For sure. It's really interesting to me. I don't understand the Chris Godwin timeline here. So it was thinking about it. Okay, so this guy's foot basically fell off his leg on the field. Then they went out there and they gave him a ton of money, most of it guaranteed. Then they drafted a wide receiver in the first round, and then it's now he's getting cleanup surgery again, and it's okay, so what's really going on with him? It's I don't really feel comfortable drafting him at all. I could see a world where we don't see him for the first 6 and 7 weeks, and I don't know. I've never had my foot fall off, but it doesn't seem like you just get up and just run the same after that. So it's I don't know how that fits into his game. He's not necessarily the speedy guy or the gadget player. So I mean that helps, but I have a lot of reservations about taking Godwin this year. I know that offense is really strong. There's a lot of people that are pointing to Baker Mayfield having TD regression because he had a career high in TD rate last year. This is their third offensive coordinator in 3 years. So there's a lot of the sky is falling kind of situation, but I don't know, the Godwin thing. It just, there's something in my gut that's just don't even deal with that. Just don't even mess with it. So I think I'm out on him for this year entirely.
And Mike Evans is 32. Is that 31, 32?
So Joe, yeah. I looked into his contract status. His base salary is $1.2 million this year, and then all the guaranteed money is for the following 2 years.
Oh,
so does that open it out for them to trade him? I mean,
well, I wonder what that cap hit would look like if
it's a $12 million cap hit if this year is the cap hit.
Yeah, but then you would be absorbing the other 44 mil over the next couple of years. So next year the
cap hit goes up if it's next year.
The cap hit goes up, but if they were to trade or cut him, they would have a $49 million of dead cap because of all the guarantees. So I don't know if it happens. They do have an out in 2027. That's a club option. And then they have the weird void thing years that everybody decided to start doing because money isn't real apparently. But it's a very weird situation. I would have probably just let him go to New England and be like, here's you and here's your foot, like Godspeed and good luck. Like,
I'm glad it
it's
didn't
fine.
happen. Yeah, I'm so glad that didn't happen.
And instead you got Diggs. So
Yeah, and Diggs is already like
I
losing
feel,
puppies on the field and everything
I
else.
feel much better about Diggs than Godwin as a number one. Godwin's great as a number two, in my opinion.
Okay, why don't we actually get into talking about the Scott Fish Bowl? I also was going to mention something about holdouts, but let's end on to injury reports and head over to talk about the Scott Fish Bowl. And first of all, why don't we just kind of share where we drafted and where we drafted within the draft itself? What draft position. So you're our guest, Joe. Why don't you go ahead and tell us, where you drafted and where you drafted?
Yeah, so I was in the Cleveland Live draft. I was in the Cleveland Guardians division. Or no, I was in the Cavaliers division because I was like, that is the most palatable Cleveland team for a Pittsburgh person to be because we don't have a basketball team. And then I was the 103 pick. So held it down.
Okay. And through the magic of the Scott Fish Bowl tool, we actually can see your team. And did you have a particular approach or strategy going into the draft that you were hoping to be able to at least start off the draft with?
Yeah, so my strategy, as you can probably see by the colors on the board, was that I was very heavy on running backs. So for me, I think that running backs are kind of the key to winning Fishbowl this year. You would think that in a situation where you have the 2.5 PPR, that it would be more like drafting the receivers, or with the tight ends where you have the 3.5 PPR in the sleeper leagues, that the wide receivers, the tight ends would give you more run. If you look at like how things finished out last year, 12 of the top 24 players were running backs. If you look at the top 50, it was about 50% as well. I feel pretty confident in being able to get later round value in wide receivers. So for me, it was like, let's hit the running backs early and often. We need to pivot for quarterbacks at some point. My dream scenario was going to be hitting Justin Fields at the 4-5 turn. He ended up going in round 3 in our draft. So I was like, all right, we're just going to punt on QB. In hindsight, I probably should have taken – our league was very aggressive on quarterbacks. So you could see that Matthew Stafford was really the only quarterback worth note. And I took him in the 9th round, which is pretty early relative to where he's been going in other drafts. I've been seeing him going like 10th, 11th, 12th rounds. And now I have the Cleveland Browns special where I have 5 quarterbacks, and I don't know if I feel confident in starting most of them. But so for me, going in at the 103 – I've been telling everyone in the 103 chat, if you were able to get Bijan Robinson, I'm a hater. Like, I'm really upset with you because that's who I wanted. He led Scott Fish Bowl last year in this format if you would have used that scoring. So Bijan was my number 1 guy. Jahmyr Gibbs was my number 2. And then for me, Christian McCaffrey was 3. It's like, this is a 5,000 person tournament. Bijan Robinson last year would have put up 680 some points. Christian McCaffrey 2 years ago would have almost put up 800. Wow. So it's like, if he returns to form, he could easily be the top guy. Now, there's a lot of concern about the injuries, the degenerative like nature of like the whatever he's dealing with. But I was like, you know what? We're either going to do well or we're not. Let's just ride it in. And then at that point, it was pretty much running back. And there was some people that I got sniped on. I honestly don't feel great about the Harvey pick in the 5th round, but we'll see what happens there. And then once the running back pool dried up a bit, then it was, let's pivot to wide receivers. And then as soon as I got beyond round 12, I was very aggressive in taking the backups. Mm-hmm. So I was like, Will Shipley probably shouldn't have been a round 15 pick, but I'm not going to play like Gus Edwards ever in a lineup. So it's like, I would rather have guys on my bench that I can't use. But if Javonte Williams gets hurt, if Derrick Henry goes down, now I have somebody that I can really leverage. And if none of them hit, then we'll see what happens on the waiver wire. But QB's obviously a weak point. I did not care about any tight ends that weren't McBride and Bowers. So once those two were gone and didn't make it back to me at 2, I was like, all right, we're done with the tight end position. Kenny Pickett probably won't end up on my team. He'll probably be my first guy cut, but he could be starting. So I was like, let's just see what happens. But yeah, it's a fun draft. I'm really liking the super flex aspect of this because I know that the view that I have on like running back heavy, I've seen just as many people be like, what, you are an idiot. You should be drafting all wide receivers. So it's been really fun.
I just looking at it, love the amount of volume I'm seeing all the way up to, your quarterback position. I mean, and of course, Stafford's going to get a lot of volume passing. He's not the running quarterback, but he's got 2 great wide receivers. The one thing I was kind of worried about when I went into my draft, and, again, it looks like you're safe unless someone gets hurt, but you have to have 11 starters.
Right.
Doesn't matter what position they play, but you have to have 11 starters every week.
Yeah.
And so the one pick I really love, and you got him in the 21st round, Dante Thornton. All of a sudden he looks to be the starter out there in Las Vegas.
Yeah. It's funny. If you look at my team, there are 2 teams that I have a lot more of than I would have expected, and probably not like the fantasy darling offenses. So I'm all in apparently on the Colts. I didn't know I was such a big fan of the Colts. And then I have multiple receivers for the Raiders. So it's like, I guess I really like those guys a lot, but it's just how the chips fell. I was like, yeah, he could be starting. He could be a burner. Let's see what happens. Like when you get to the 21st round of like a 12-person tournament, like you start running out of players that like you can spell their names right.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, like let's see what happens. Let's go. So I was like, yeah, let's go for it.
I like the fact that you got 5 of the wide receiver ones for their team. That was, in between rounds 6 through 11. That really nails the build. It does. Like that's what you want. You're not necessarily looking for boom or bust wide receivers. You want the volume.
Sure.
Yeah, so I like it. I didn't take as many running backs as you at the beginning, but I did get a couple of good ones. Though,
yeah.
But
my dream start was going to be, there was one draft in the Indy draft. They got Bijan at 3. It was Pierre, who I think is going to be on the show, or was just recently on. I don't know, maybe.
It's next week.
Yeah. So he got Bijan at 3, and then on the 210 he got CMC. And I was like, you are officially my enemy. Like, I'm so jealous of this. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, that is like the craziest start. And I was like, you know what? He's not going to make it back to me. Bijan and Gibbs aren't there anymore. So let's just take him. I'd rather not miss out. The one player I do wish that I would have had, who I was expecting to be able to get at the 3-4 turn, was Alvin Kamara. I'm really excited about him. And he got sniped at 309. I was like, all right, that's fine. I'll be upset about it, I guess. But otherwise, the draft didn't necessarily, you never know with something like that. Like I didn't expect Marv to be there in the 6th. He wasn't somebody that was on my radar, but it was like, all right, let's do it. Jacoby Myers, I really liked. The Tet pick, I always get anxious. Like I know that like the rookie wide receivers did so well last year, but I think I probably would have been better suited taking a QB there. The quarterback that I could have had in that 7-8 turn would have been Jordan Love, who I think can bounce back really well. Yeah. But for me, I was just like, I was the last person to take a quarterback. So I was just like, well, I'm just going to trust my gut and just see what happens. And then if Richardson or Daniel Jones can run, I might be okay.
So let's go ahead and switch you out. And hopefully I won't mess things up.
I believe in you, Rick.
Yeah, you believe in me.
It's better. You probably got a better chance of not messing up than me.
Here we go. Okay, now let's see. Will this show me or will this still show you? This shows me. Perfect. Right. Okay, and so you hate me right off the bat?
Yes, I do. Yeah, very, very jealous.
No, Rick. No, that second round pick kills me. I mean, I guess in this format, but I'm off a second round Bucky. I can't bring myself to it.
Yeah, and there were a couple times where I said, "Gee, I think," and I'd have to look at the draft board, but I think I've had a chance to get the running back. I think you got from the Colts. You mentioned
Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I think he was still there, but I was really psyched about Irving. I wanted to see that receiving that I think is going to add to his numbers, especially in the scoring format. London seemed like a safe volume bet, and then George Kittle. You mentioned the two top tight ends, but I actually think Kittle's outscored the other two tight ends last year.
Yeah, and if you look at even with my projections, I had Kittle as like my 36th best player. So to get him into the 4th round, that was really good value for you. I don't think he made it. He was taken in the middle of the 3rd in our draft, I think.
Yeah, let me see where he went in mine. I got the draft board up over here.
And Bob Harris, who is drafting in Dallas as well, and he, but I think he was in this 7 or 8 spot. But he got Kittle in his 4th round too. So
3-6. Yeah.
So then Caleb, who I have a feeling is going to have a lot of volume. Tony Pollard, who I like as a run. Now I waited on quarterback too, and so Trevor Lawrence, but maybe under Liam. That
this has got to be the year for him, right? If he is going to be that, if you think back, Trevor Lawrence was the QB prospect. He was the best QB prospect since Andrew Luck, and he's done nothing. Granted, he has been in a terrible situation in Jacksonville, but it's you got 2 really good receivers, you got the running game, you have everything that you should realistically need to be successful. You got a good offensive mind. This has to be the year for Trevor Lawrence.
And so I went Downs instead of Pittman, which, it was one of those just kind of feel things. There was a lot of on Downs. Freiermuth, I already mentioned that.
That's the biggest struggle with doing drafts so early. And I think that's why I hate best ball. It's I don't even know who is on the depth chart right now, and I'm putting money into this thing. And then it's something like that happens. Well, thank you for here's your donation. Because I would have been with you. I thought Pat would have been a really solid late pick because who else are they going to throw it to? And then it's oh, well, they were going to trade for Jonnu Smith. Why didn't I think of that?
And, again, I'm hoping your Tet pick works really well for you because I went after and at this point it was I kept on watching quarterbacks disappearing off the draft board.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I didn't want to not have a second quarterback.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't or didn't draft quarterbacks. So, but in our draft, there was, people were going after quarterbacks pretty heavily.
It's surprising to me that people wouldn't get quarterbacks at all. I get the weighting on them because you have so many different bonuses and stuff like that. But Bryce Young is going to outscore Trey Benson in in this format. He's going to outscore a lot of these flex players or things like that. So it may not be if you think about value over replacement flex player. To me, there was only 4 quarterbacks that I would have taken in the first 2 rounds, and it's the typical guys that you would expect. But there becomes a point where it's all right, the 20 points or the 18 points that you're going to get from that quarterback is still going to be more than from random receiver Luther Burden for the Bears or something like that. So going no running or no quarterback at all, to me, that was a very interesting approach for people.
So people were probably wondering how I was able to get Bijan in the 3rd pick. The first pick, the guy sat down right across from me at the table, said, I'm going to surprise everybody. And he did. He picked A-Chain.
That's right. Yeah.
And this was before the trade, between the Dolphins and the Steelers. So, so that bumped his value up, appreciably, but still that was a pretty gutsy pick, but you got to pick your guy.
And he probably wouldn't have been there at the 212
and would not have been. And Josh Allen went with the 102. So I literally ran. I was like the jumping over the table, diving to the draft board, grabbing the sticker real quick, before anything changed. Someone run up saying, "Oh no, I actually meant to choose Bijan," because I was
so awkward moment when you accidentally picked up the Brian Robinson sticker.
Oh no.
but please,
But
I
it
just
doesn't
drafted-
count. It doesn't count until you tap the sleeper button. Though.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in two
pulling that
drafts right
card.
now.
Yeah.
I just picked up Brian Robinson, and I just drafted Michael Pittman. I mean, literally just before getting on the
Yeah.
show. So so please,
Nice.
Brian Robinson's okay. And I kind of, the Shipley, I was really, hoping for, the chance that he might, have a lot of play at Philadelphia. Same thing with Marshawn Lloyd, again, those are the kind of the handcuff type picks you were talking about. I went back to players that I thought would start
Right.
with Leggett and Dubes, and got really lucky with the Elijah Arroyo.
Yeah, big winner right after they cut Fant.
I was watching tight ends then roll off the board, and I was like, oh geez, the only person left is Arroyo, and as it turns out, it worked okay. The last 3 picks, I was just trying to get guys that could possibly play and maybe even start. I think even Deontay might have a chance to start there in Cleveland. So it's probably not going to be the type of draft that's going to get me, in the top playoff run, but I feel at least somewhat confident that I'll get into the playoffs at least.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways that this roster could break pretty big. I mean, like the Downs versus Pittman thing, like it's like the sexy stats, or like, to me, the biggest concern about Downs is when Pittman got hurt, Downs didn't take his snaps. They gave him to Adney Mitchell. So it's like, are they going to keep Downs on the field to be that guy? That's the thing for me. But like Leggett could be huge. Romeo Doubs could easily lead the targets for Green Bay. Like having multiple lottery tickets on that offense, like not a bad piece. And like you said, Deontay Johnson, his target share was like 25% last season, even though he was on like 4 teams. So we'll see what happens. But it's one of those things where it's like, if your guys stay healthy, you did a good job of, like, to me, in a big tournament like this, I will never handcuff my own players. I will always take other people's handcuffs, because if it's going to go well, all of the guys on the left are going to stay healthy, and then you get reinforcements from the guys on the right.
And you hurt the other team too.
Right, exactly.
So I love that approach. Okay, let's see. And Joe's, let's see if I don't mess this up.
I think, Rick, I think that Bijan and Kittle is really rare to be on the same roster in these drafts, at least the live ones.
And at the rate that the 49ers are going, Kittle might be the only person that can catch the ball. I mean, they already got guys dropping like flies with hamstrings and stuff like that. So it could be in a really good spot.
So, Joe, your live draft started last Sunday, right?
Just past Sunday.
Yeah. Past Sunday. And so you're not finished, although I think that you've been drafting. In fact, I even heard a sleeper notification just a few minutes ago. So you're still in the draft. What players have been added since I grabbed this screen capture?
Where's it in Justice Hill? I got in 17-9, I took Brashad Smith.
Nice.
Love that.
And 18-4 I did, and I don't really like it, but my quarterbacks aren't that strong, and I needed a third one, so I threw a dot at that at 18-4.
Oh, dart, yeah.
I didn't really. I mean, I kind of forced it, but I have my quarterbacks of Daniel Jones and Dak. I kind of waited. All the good ones went, so I was like, forget it. I'm not gonna do any picks there. I went bold with Trey McBride at 104.
I love it.
Yeah, so I thought I consider him in this format like an anchor. So he's like an anchor player. I had him last year. I took him in the second round last year, early second round. And I think it was I was picking from the 8th spot, I believe. So 17th pick. And I took him over Burrow, and it was like the right call, even though Burrow had a real good year.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you had to start a tight end. But I mean, he's a beast. I figure this allows me to be flexible. Like you were like, I'm getting the 5 running backs, and you went with that. I ended up getting 2 good ones for me,
Yeah,
Henry and Kamara. So this is why I'm saying now I can be flexible.
sure. Yeah.
And I think round 4. Let me see. I got sniped in round 4. Let me see. I did. I remember. The Devontae Adams was the pivot.
Yeah, but that's 1,000+ yards. That's a great pick. And
Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter went 403. I wanted to get Travis Hunter right there at 404.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was I don't know how, if y'all were like, so Joe, you're saying that you were like, I would take him. I was pretty low, I think, on Travis Hunter relative to
Really?
like Scott Fishbowl. Like I saw some people that are like, I'm taking him first round.
yeah,
And it's
Yeah.
just like,
I seen that. Yeah.
if I think about the format and it's like, all right, it's going to be reliant on volume. I believe in Brian Thomas. So it's like, all right, he's going to be the wide receiver 1.
Right.
My IDP dynasty team I was telling you about sucks. Like I'm not good at it. Like we'll just call a spade, not a shrink. How many points can Travis Hunter realistically score as a part-time defensive player? Like, can he get 100? I think 100 is a lot. So I'm thinking like 60, 70 points. So it's like, how much does he have to do as a wide receiver to make that extra 60 worth it? And I just don't know if I saw it. Like to me, like the earliest I would have taken him was the 5th round, and I don't remember ever seeing him go that far.
Yeah. That's that. Well, I was targeting him in the 4th. I wasn't taking
Yeah,
him any earlier for sure. But obviously Devontae Adams was a good pick as well. And I'm huge on Devontae. One of my bold takes of the year is he outscores Puka.
ooh, yeah,
ooh, that is bold.
that's bold. But I
So
mean, you could see it. He's definitely not Cooper Kupp. Like Cooper Kupp was a
no,
skeleton out there last season. Like Devontae's still that dude. So I mean, that offense is gonna be humming.
He's going to have breakfast club with Stafford, though.
Oh
who
yeah,
had Stafford? You made you had Stafford as your QB1. I like that.
yeah. But you know what? He has a Taco Bell in his house, so he can just be like, come on, man, we can get a taco. We'll talk it over.
Yeah.
Then I don't know how T. Higgins felt around 5, but he's got a massive ceiling if he plays the entire season. So I took him.
For sure.
Then I was targeting Dak the entire time as my quarterback 1.
I love that pick.
I was hoping he fell to at least the 6th round, and he did. And I grabbed him there full intentions of getting Pickens on the way back, and he was there. Took him just to stack that up, and then I took two tight ends. I'm in on where they're going for ADP in this format, and that's Andrews and Kraft. Round 10, Donnell Mooney. I thought that was pretty good value too. He gets more volume than you think.
Oh yeah, he's very underrated.
Then in the second half, like your beginning of your draft, Joe, you were at the second half. I was going mostly all running back until until I saw something that didn't make any sense, that was sticking out, and I was like, okay, I'll get that guy. Or in this case, a second quarterback, which I got in the 15th round, Daniel Jones. So, but I hammered J.K. Dobbins in the 11th, Zach Charbonnet, who I absolutely love this year,
Right.
in round 12. I think he has standalone value, not just handcuff. But but if he does play the full volume, he's got massive upside.
Definitely.
Isaac Guerrero, handcuffed to CMC. Then Mason Taylor, I think he has a pretty good shot as of right now to be the second target share there. I know Breece Hall is going to be highly involved in the pass game this year, and I anticipate them maybe adding another wide receiver at some point. Maybe Keenan Allen, maybe somebody. Who knows? But if they don't add anybody, I'm in on Mason Taylor for sure.
Definitely.
And Justice Hill, I did that just to back up Henry. And he gets a lot of pass volume too, so he gets those games where he has 5 catches for like 80 yards and a touchdown and pay off. Just hopefully I start I start him when it's a bye week, and that's when he does it. you know.
Hey man, that would be so awesome.
Yeah. I
So
think that a lot of people are down on Daniel Jones, but I think the first couple of games, like the first 4 or 5 games, are relatively easy, or they're not the toughest games the Colts have to play, and he could easily be 3-2, maybe, you know, and it'll be hard to take him out of the starting role. And again, he's got good receivers. He's got great running back. I wouldn't. Yeah, I would be starting him in the 11th position over Dobbins.
Yeah, and the thing is you don't need him to be a good real life football quarterback. You
Yeah,
just need him to run a little bit, throw for some yards. Like he can have all of the negative plays. He could throw a pick six. Like you don't lose points in fishbowl like you do in a traditional like redraft league. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't think like for as late as Richardson and Daniel Jones are going, knowing that they both have rushing appeal. I mean, it's kind of like Justin Fields is kind of like the Walmart version of kind of like the Hurtses and the Josh Allens. And it's like Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson are like, I guess, like the team move version of Justin Fields. So we'll see what they can do. But I would feel a lot better about that rushing upside than taking kind of just like I'm not going to run the ball. I'm just going to throw it and hope for touchdowns. Like Sam Darnold, for example, like I'd rather have the risk and chance of those two like doing something big with their legs than Sam Darnold fearing for his life in Seattle this year.
nice. So I just want to shout out the Boston Red Sox division. It was an awesome draft. Heisenberg, little bit so great guy. Every time, so I'm always never near the draft board, hanging out until it's like almost my pick. But sometimes I lose. Sometimes I lose track. I'm always going around looking at the draft board, say hello to everybody, seeing how they're doing, kind of interrupting their train of thought, and then I all of a sudden I'll hear Joe out of nowhere. That's Heisenberg letting me know I'm on the clock, and he does it great, man. It's awesome. It's like I just want to shout him out for that. It was a good time. Rick Avery, Matt Wood, everyone that was there. Andrew Cooper did an awesome job hosting. Bob Gilchrist. Can't thank you guys enough. Awesome experience.
Good stuff for sure.
Yeah, and Joe, so you drafted Cleveland.
Yep.
Can you share a little bit about what your experiences were like?
Yeah, so the Cleveland live draft has been at the same spot, the Barley Yard, for the past couple of years now. And so the founder of Dynasty Nerds, Rich, is the guy who actually runs that event. He does a really good job with it, like the different raffles and stuff that they do. I know for me, like one of the things that I like to do is I keep a mini microphone with me and I'll just like ask people like random questions. So like one of them was like, if y'all are familiar with like baseball history, there was 10-cent beer night for the Indians back in the day. And they actually had to cancel the game halfway through because people got so drunk that like they were throwing stuff on the field. There was like all this stuff that was happening. So it was like walk around, people like, hey, 10-cent beer night, how many beers you putting down? And some people are like, oh, like I don't drink. Some people are like, oh, I could put down 30, no problem. And it's like just hearing the range of outcomes of people, stuff like that is super fun. It wasn't at the Cleveland draft. I heard that in DC they had a beer pong tournament. I thought that was super cool. So everybody kind of has their flavor of things, but yeah, the live drafts are a good time. Even if you aren't even drafting, I feel like it's a lot of fun. So it's like, if you enjoyed your live draft experience, to me, the expo is like that times like 1,000.
Well, I drafted up in Dallas, and I was coordinating the Houston live draft. So they suggest you don't draft in your own draft. And Casey did a great job. Yeah, the community beer company was.
Oh yeah, Casey's great.
And I stole a few ideas from being at that draft, since mine was the next week. And but it was a lot of fun. I even won a prize, so that always makes it more fun when you walk away with a piece of hardware. And I promptly then, I'm not a Dallas Cowboy fan by any measure. So, and I won a signed helmet by Larry Brown, who was Super Bowl
Yeah.
MVP that year. So I quickly put it up in auction. There was a guy in the Houston live draft that was a Dallas Cowboy fan. So fortunately, was able to then turn around and have that donated. So it donated twice. But yeah, it was a lot of fun up there. And for folks who haven't done a live draft, especially a Scott Fishbowl live draft, you really have to,
They're fun.
give it an effort to go. So much fun. You get to meet people. I met Bob Harris at the Dallas live draft. We at the Houston live draft were fortunate to have a couple of people come just to be guests or just to be there, including Cooter Doodle, who was mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
She just showed up and just hung out with the rest of us. It was so much fun. And you are doing such good work for the charities, whether it's Fantasy Cares, whether your live draft had a local charity to support. It's a great way to give back for all the fun you get to enjoy for playing fantasy football.
Yeah.
And Joe, you sound like you had a great time up in the Boston live draft.
Yeah, we raised $10,000, so that that's pretty good. They gave away autographed jerseys. There was a David Ortiz.
Nice.
This is our effing city with his autograph on a jersey. I mean, if it wasn't anybody other than Rick, I would drop the bomb. But Rick's there, so I won't do it.
See, sophisticated.
I respect Rick in that as far as that goes. I've been doing the best I can not to swear. So for those who know me, that's a task. But all right. So yeah, no, awesome time. Like I said, Andrew Cooper did a nice 2-minute Boston speech, got us all fired up before the draft started, before he kicked it off. Seeing everybody is awesome. People you only see like once or twice a year, unless you bump into them. I got a chance, because a lot of people are from the area. There were some people that came from outside, like somebody drove from Albany. That's
Oh wow.
That's a decent little ride. So it was definitely a good time. And I'm looking forward to the expo. You mentioned the poker tournament. I'm in that. Signed up for that bad boy.
Nice.
For sure. I'm gonna be.
Looks like you know a little bit what you're doing.
I'm gonna be using this that I got at the draft, at the Scott Fish draft, as my card protector. I'm calling it now in case anyone else had that idea. It's mine. No, just kidding. But yeah, no, this was an awesome little gift too that I got there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm in draft night out. I'm in the Jim Kelly division, super flex draft, redraft.
Nice.
So I am doing that, and then we'll be at the booth on Sunday. Me, Rick, JC, Kala. I believe Kala has a show planned for that, an interview with somebody already planned. So it's going to be a good time. Really looking forward to it. Hanging out with everybody, meeting you, Joe.
Yeah,
good time.
And any last bits of advice for anyone? Because I suspect not just the live draft people, like in the Boston live draft, but I know that there's a number of people still doing some of the online slow drafts. And so any last bits of advice that you'd give to people, still doing their drafts?
Just go get your guy, man. Like, I feel like it's very easy to have like analysis paralysis on. It's like, oh, like, who am I going to take in the 19th round? It's like, stand on a hill, take somebody. They're probably going to be a bust of a pick, but that's why you're picking them in the 19th round. And if by some miracle you do hit, like Kyron Williams was like a last round pick 2 years ago, and then people that had him, like, it was awesome. And it's like, if you managed to hit on like, I don't know, like Josh Downs was a lot later in drafts like last year, like, then that was probably awesome. So it's like, if you guess wrong, no one's going to remember, like, oh, remember that time you made that horrible 20th round pick? But when you nail it, it's so sweet. So it's like, make a shot, go Babe Ruth, just point at center field and see if you hit the ball. Like it's going to be fine.
Love it. Joe, Joe Carlton, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Any other advice you'd give to people based on your experiences?
Go into the live draft. Just show up and be yourself. Don't be nervous about coming. There's nothing to be nervous about. We're all there to enjoy what we do, and that's hang out and do a fantasy football draft. See everybody we interact with, on social media, and do podcasts with, or whatever, shows, whatever. It's great camaraderie. Everybody welcomes you with open arms. Everybody loves, roots for each other. Everyone just wants to have a good time. So you just show up, hang out, and you'll be glad you did.
Awesome. And my advice kind of blends the two that the two Joes have offered. You're playing against 4,999 other players. So your odds of winning, pretty slim. So take that as your advantage. You're going to go there, you're going to have fun. And you might throw a dart at a player in the 15th round or the 22nd round, and maybe that player hits. Last year, Bucky Irving was a late.
There you go. Perfect example.
So just go there and have fun, pick a team that you like. And then, remember that this is a charity league. So continue to give and support Fantasy Cares and all the different charities that folks are supporting during their drafts. And that's the best advice I could give. So that really wraps us up. Joe, you want
to? That's it. So I want to thank Joe, obviously, for coming on. This was a good time.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll have to get you guys, if you don't have Friday night plans ever, I do a Q&A show during the season with Tyler Bradley. So we'll have to get you guys on there. Obviously know what you're doing, so can help the good people on their fantasy journeys. But yeah, this was a blast. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You want to tell the folks where they can find you?
Yeah, so pretty much everywhere on social media, I've laid claim to JOEFRK. Everywhere except for Reddit, which my username is Joey Hustle, which is weird. Like that used to be like an anonymous thing, and now we like have like profile pictures and stuff on it. Like, what happened to shame? But yes, you can find me pretty much there. All of my written content is on fsan.com, and then wherever you find like the Fantasy Sports Advice Network on all of your different podcasts and stuff. And then for the Wednesday evening show, Around the 412, so that's Around the 412 on YouTube, and then the X handle is ATFF or AT412FF show. So yeah, you can pretty much find me anywhere. Send me a tweet, shoot me an email, give me a call. Like anybody wants to talk ball any hour of the day, like let's do it, man. I just love to talk about it. So
awesome. Well, like I said, pleasure meeting you.
Yeah,
this was a great show. Rick, you got anything anything you want to add?
No, actually, but I do want to point, and I think I touched on it at the start, but Joe was super helpful to all the people in the 103 Twitter chat with great advice and just, good spirited support. I mean, that's the other thing that's great about the Scott Fish Bowl. It really is a great community of people who are having fun playing fantasy football, but also just good people. So really appreciated all the advice and support, and sometimes even good-natured ribbing that Joe and the rest of the 103s as we to our drafts.
Sounds like the Zach attack from the 104s. From the 104
and Zach is is another great example. So I've been in both groups over the course of time, and Zach is really great and a great author of a cocktail book.
For sure. Yeah, that stuff's
nice.
Legit. And I will say, if you're going to the expo and if you find yourself like by yourself and you need a friend, tap me, grab me, like we'll grab a drink. It's gonna be a good time. So you're not by yourself. You got a friend of me. So we'll make it a good time for everybody.
Awesome.
Can't wait, man. Looking forward to that. I just want to tomorrow night. Kala's got her Zumba show again. this will be our third episode. Check that out
Sweet.
tomorrow night. And then Sunday night is going to be my first bonus poker episode.
Heck yeah.
I'm going to bring on a female, I don't know if she's professional, but she definitely has professional results. A female poker tournament player from the Boston area. She's fairly unknown. She played in a ladies event over the World Series of Poker this year, and it was the highest buy-in. It was at, I forget what casino it was at. It was the highest buy-in for any woman tournament this year, up until, further along in the World Series of Poker. Had to one up it, but she cashed in that, and we want to recognize her. We want to talk about her poker journey and have a good conversation. So I'm looking forward to that. And then the following Sunday, I have Drew Davenport and Ronnie Evans together.
Oh, wow. That's a crew.
Quick 30 to 45 minutes. We're going to talk about the poker tournament at the EXPO. I'm going to ask a ton of questions, the format, how many chips we start with. I'm going to get so I know what I'm working with when I get in there. And stuff like that. And then we're going to talk a little bit of fantasy football towards the end, as much time allows us to. So I'm looking forward to that. And then that's pretty much it. I mean, Aces Up Tuesday night, Dustin Lucky. And he gave me a guest, but I didn't write it down because he had a guest and then the guest backed out, and now he's got someone else coming on. So that's one of the things I like to do is have them choose their co-guest is kind of how I do it.
Nice.
So you come on with who you want to come on with. And we'll
bring a friend.
Yeah. We'll do it up. I like it. It creates some unique combos, in my opinion. People, that haven't been on podcasts together doing shows. I like to do stuff like that. And then just have a nice natural conversation. So looking forward to another episode of Aces Up. And that's pretty much it. Thank you everybody who tuned in live. Thank you everyone in the chat. Sniper Mel, I love Tucker Craft too this year. That's why I pounced on him in the 9th round in the Scottish Fish Bowl. Rick, thank you. Good show. JC, Iggy, thank you guys as always for making this possible. This has been great experience. That's it. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, y'all.